He's Gerald Celente, aforementioned, and he joins us now on the Mother of All Talk Shows. Gerald, welcome back to the show. I know it's not the wonderful, man. Wonderful. The Battle of the Hats. Battle of the Hats. Now listen, I know it's not the most important issue, but when the President of the United States falls asleep while talking to the President of Israel, you got to worry, don't you?
Oh yeah, the guy's out of his mind, and it's been going on for a long time. And again, the only reason that that Trump won, that Biden won, is because people hated Trump so much, so they went out and voted. It wasn't like they loved Biden. And it's a freak show. But look at the freak show you got over there in the UK. From a clown that the best cartoonist in the world couldn't come up with a better one than Boris Johnson, to this arrogant little boy that you got playing the Joker now, this Sudak. And take a look over in France with the little Catson Macron. It's a freak show everywhere you go. So, and the people just keep buying into it.
It is, but your freak is the most powerful freak, with the power to tell all the other freaks what they have to do. That's why we pay so much attention to the freak show in Washington.
Yeah, and that those little coward boys and girls across Europe bend over and suck up to a little jerk like that, and the morons that represent him show how low they can go. You know, you talked about Gino in the Bronx. You know, I'm a Napolitano. I grew up in the Bronx. And I was born in the Bronx. I grew up right after World War II. The height, I'm born in 46, the height of America. You were born to be free. You didn't take anybody's crap. Don't tell me what to do. I won't tell you what to do. Don't tell me what to do. That used to be the attitude. Not anymore. If you don't believe and swallow the crap coming out of the mouth of these little clown boys and girls called politicians and bureaucrats, why, then you believe in misinformation. You're only allowed to swallow government crap in a country near you. So going back to a clown out of his mind, father of a drug addict, that when Biden was playing senator, passed and promoted 3 strikes you're out, the drug war, that would have put a kid like his in jail for the rest of his life. That shows you what a crime syndicate it is. Oh, they found coke in the White House and they stopped looking to see what it was. There's a damn camera everywhere, every place, and every inch.
Powerful indeed, Gerald. Now, let's talk about the junkie son for a minute, the junkie gun-toting, underage sex-swinging son for a minute. Biden's never turned his back on him. Biden continues to back him and believe him. He's in and out of the White House with or without his stash at his own free will. He travels on Air Force One. He drives around in a pretty little green Corvette with the president. Don't you think the net is closing in on that crime family?
Yeah, it's yes and no. You know, it's the media that's in charge. And you look at the one that was the mouthpiece for him, Psaki before. Where is she now? She's became a prostitute with MSNBC. It's one big club. So as long as the media stays away from it, it goes away. It's what the media will create. And again, I write a magazine, as you know, the Trends Journal. This is the October, when it used to be a quarterly, now it's a weekly, over 150 pages a week. This is about the United States overthrow of the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych in Ukraine in 2014. The article, by the way, was written by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Ronald Reagan. Now let's go back to Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden, Christopher Hines of the Hines 57 family, the stepson of that another arrogant little boy, John Kerry, and another guy that I forget his name but's been convicted of a couple of crimes. They get on the board of directors of Burisma Energy in Ukraine right after the overthrow of the democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych by the United States. What does this drug addict know about the energy business, or Christopher Hines of the Hines 57, the ketchup and the other stuff? What do they know about the energy business, and how come they're on the board of directors? You see what a crime syndicate it is? Morons and imbeciles call it a government.
It's powerful, Gerald, but we're edging towards despair. Let's try and look forward. They indicted Donald Trump again, and his popularity went up. What are they going to do next?
And that's what I said. As soon as, I'll never forget, when Trump got elected, and by the way, I'm not a Trump fan, just to make it clear. I'm a trend forecaster. I look at things the way they are, not the way I want them to be. In the Trends Journal, in the May issue of 2016, we said that Trump would defeat Clinton when all the polls show the opposite. Now let's fast forward. He wins the election. The day after the election, the headline story in USA Today, new president comes to office, I forget with how many lawsuits against him. So it was negative from the start. Then they made up Russiagate, totally fabricated. Again, it's a crime syndicate. And the crime syndicate now in charge is the military-industrial complex. The neocons are in charge. Again, you read this article, this is when Obama was president, Victoria Nuland, the Undersecretary of State, passing out cookies and cakes in Maidan Square over there as the revolution's going on in Ukraine. And now she's a primary war hawk in the Biden administration, along with that other little arrogant clown boy. I went to Dalton. Don't you know who my daddy is? You know, I went to Harvard. You know, those kind of people that are much better than us. Anthony Blinken, the Anthony Blinken that loved every war that America started, went over to Saudi Arabia under Obama when he was Undersecretary of State. Obama, the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, goes over to Saudi Arabia when they started the war that's killed almost 400,000 Yemeni people, over half of them children. Blinken went over there to give them intelligence as the United States is refueling the Saudi planes so they could keep killing the Yemeni people. Those are the people in the Biden administration. It's not Biden that's running the show. It's the military-industrial complex. It's the out of their mind, demonic, satanic people that love war and killing that are in charge.
If I'm right, Gerald, no Republican stands a chance against Trump for the nomination. And if I'm right that these indictments, this strategy of criminalization, much of it coming from New York, by the way, is actually not harming, but maybe helping Donald Trump to be reelected as president, I still feel that something has got to give, because I don't think they can afford a vengeful Donald Trump coming back to office. I can only imagine. I mean, you talk about lock them up. I can only imagine who he's going to lock up next time. So what do they do? How do they stop him?
It's simple. You have to look at the other. Yes, Trump has a high popularity rating, but then you have to look at the other polls. The people don't want Biden or Trump. So what they're doing is they're telling you the polls of this against that. No. You have to look at the other polls. And the other polls show they don't want any of them. And that's why I think, but again, it's going to be a wild card. RFK Jr. to me is the best bet. And the reason, but again, they're going to keep going after him on this anti-vax thing as they keep going after him. And as I keep telling them, stop talking about this. You know, there was a line under the Clinton, when Bill Clinton ran for president in 1992. Behind the scenes line in the campaign was, quote, "It's the economy, stupid." That's what you have to focus on. You have to focus on the issues that hit the people in their pocketbook. Get away from this vax stuff, because that's all they're going after him for. This guy has the name and the background. And you mentioned before about his family coming out after him. You know, one of the things I say, you want to know why the world's so screwed up? Take a look at your family. You don't have to look so far. So anyway,
well, I've got
back
a fantastic family, but he doesn't appear to. I mean,
most families
they're actually rats. They're attacking their own family member, like Pavlovian dogs, at the behest of what? Joe Biden?
Again, you know, it's the mentality. And so the people looking for something new. Again, I do polls, I do data. That's what the magazine's about. You go back to the midterm elections. The reason why the Republicans didn't win bigger, again, it's not what you want, what you like, or what you believe in. It's the facts why, is because a lot of young people went out to vote because of the Roe versus Wade issue, the abortion issue, which the Republicans supported anti-abortion and the Democrats said no. That's why the Republicans didn't win big. So going back to the data is showing that young people don't want to vote for Biden in the Democratic Party. So they'll go another way. And then you have a big independent voice. So if this election is done properly, I believe that RFK Jr. could win. I don't want to have it right here in front of me, but had I known we'd be talking about this. I began my career at a graduate school, making a long story short. I worked on political campaigns in Westchester County in New York, which is the richest county at the time back in the 1970s. The guy ran for mayor in Yonkers, which is a city of over 200,000 people. Angelo Martinelli became the longest running mayor. I worked on district attorneys, senators' campaigns, Congress. They sent me to Albany. They were grooming me. I was the assistant to the secretary of the New York State Senate. I designed and instructed America's first course called American Politics and Campaign Technology, basically how to run a campaign. And I taught it at St. John's University. This was my background. I got into it. I know how this game is played. The game has to be played now. You don't go heavy. You go in and out. And then when the primaries are coming up in June, you start going very, very heavy around March and April. The people have short minds. All this stuff in the past isn't going to add up to anything. So if Kennedy runs the right kind of campaign, he could start beating Trump in the primary, Biden in the primaries, And I believe, I know, that if he gets the Democratic nomination, he'll wipe Trump out.
I agree, but that's such a huge if. Can they really allow Bobby Kennedy to be the nominee? Wouldn't they try some Bernie Sanders type maneuvers to block that?
Oh, it'd be more than a Bernie Sanders type movement. It would be more like a JFK or an RFK movement. Poof, Jack, you're dead. What did Kennedy come out and say? The CIA who killed his father and his uncle. I have a photo, again, next time I'll show it to you. You know John Connally. John Connally was the Democratic governor of Texas that sat in front of Kennedy that took the bullet in the back. I have a photograph of me, John Connally, and his wife, Nellie, in front of the book depository, 1992, 2 weeks before the presidential election. He wanted to meet me. Because in one of my books, Trend Tracking, I had forecast in 89 that there'd be a new political party and someone like Ross Perot would be that guy. He wanted to meet me. I'm making a long story short. By the way, this was their first time back since the assassination. We're going back into the Anatole Hotel. And he said to me, you know, Gerald, I read your book. He said, a fine piece of work. And I know your heart's in the right place. He said, well, you don't have a clue what's going on. And neither do the American people. Because if they did, there'd be a revolution in this country. This isn't only the Connally that took the bullet in the back, sitting in front of JFK. This is the John Connally that became the Republican Treasury Secretary under Richard Nixon that took us off the gold standard. It's a crime syndicate that morons and imbeciles call a government. They have we had the 4th of July here a couple of weeks ago. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What the hell are you talking about? Happiness? Close down your business. I'm your mayor. I'm your governor. I'm the clown in charge. We're fighting the COVID war and stand 1 meter apart because the wind blows in straight lines exactly a meter. Doesn't go around, up and down. All right? It's all gone. It's a crime syndicate run by out of their mind, arrogant, narcissistic, pathological liars. End of story. And I was there. I was on the other side. By the way, it was the worst job I ever had in my life, and I quit after 1 year.